Hi, everyone. Good morning. Welcome to another retreat or workshop. I'm just going to pull my microphone a little closer here. Today, we're going to look at forums, and we're going to discuss briefly how to set up a forum. So if you've been to the last 2 or 3 different retreats that we did on grading in terms of tests and quizzes, assignments, turn it in, what you'll notice is that in the first hour, we just kind of walk through the simple basics of how to set something up. So for the first 60 minutes or so, I'm just going to take you through Moodle, click on some different buttons and show you what those buttons do. So if you've never built a forum before or used a forum before, that's most of what we'll do in the first hour. We'll just go through how to set it up, the types of forums that there are. If you wanted to create some, restrictions on it. Let's say you wanted a forum for just your teaching team or just your tutorial leaders to share amongst themselves. We'll do that sort of in the first hour. How to use the course announcements, which is also a forum. So we're going to talk just a little bit about the basics of forum. So if you've never built in Moodle before, this is perfect for you. That's where I'm going to start. Even if you built in Moodle, there's probably a few things you might not know or you might discover as we walk through the first hour. In the second hour, I'm going to spend a bit more time in detail exploring how to set up forums as an option for using them, let's say, in a multi-section course or multi-tutorial course. So how might I set those up? I discussed this briefly last month during a 5-day retreat on how to teach large-scale courses with multiple tutorials. But today I'll show you, again, just sort of click by click, some easy ways to set up forums in a course that has multiple tutorials. And that will probably run the 2 hours today. So again, the first hour is some really sort of basic skills on how forums work or how to click. And the second hour is a little more instructional on some different ways that we can use forums if we were teaching in a teaching team with multiple sections. Okay, so we'll start there and we'll begin, and I'm going to start to build. You'll notice if you're new to this and you haven't come to one of my retreats before, all your microphones are muted. So what happens is I just kind of build as I walk and I just kind of show some things, and we're recording this, and this will all be available on the Going Digital website shortly after the recording is done. If you have questions, you're welcome to put them into the chat box. However, there is no one working the chat box today. So sometimes we have members from the Teaching Commons come and work the chat box, but there's no one there today. So if anybody knows the answers to the questions, please feel free to go ahead and answer them. While I'm building and my screen is open in front of me that I'm sharing with you, I'm unable to see the chat box. So I can't see what's typed into it. So if you type a question in there, sometimes in the end, if there's time, I'll go back and answer them, but it just really depends on how much we cover and how fast it all moves. But I will try to go slow today. And keep it at a pace where you can follow along with what I'm doing. So welcome and thanks for coming, and let's maybe just get started. I'll start by sharing my screen and pulling it up. And I'm going to begin on the Moodle page. Actually, maybe I'll start one over. I'm going to begin on the Going Digital website. So if you haven't been here before, this is the LAPS Going Digital website. We created it in the Dean's office for you in terms of all types of resources for teaching and learning. And we have so many great resources here. I really hope you will make yourself familiar with this website. I spend a lot of time here in a lot of my different retreats. I'll post this a link to this in the chat box in just a second, or if someone else is available to post the link to it in the chat box, that would be great. It's a great place to start. All types of help in terms of copyright concerns or how to set up your course remotely. Templates for how to build your courses as well can be found here. E-services and the types of different sessions that they have going on over the next month can also be found here as well. And the thing is, I mean, with e-services, you're going to get some great resources on how to do things. So if you want to know how to do something in particular, these are great training sessions. They are how to set up quizzes, how to set up Turnitin, how to use Gradebook. All of these different things can be found in this section here. You can see, and you can even click the link to sign up or register for their upcoming workshops. And I would recommend them to everyone. They're great. Training videos. So when we have all these past retreats that I do, if you click on here, all the videos can all be found here for all the previous Moodle retreats that I have done. Dating all the way back for the last couple months, at least I think all the way back to June or May. They're all here. So, I mean, most of your questions about how to do something at some point in time in one of these different sessions I have gone over, and you can certainly start there. But also, if you don't find what you're looking for here, you can always send me an email, sgennaro@yorku.ca. Again, so this is all on the Going Digital website. I really recommend you become familiar with it. It can be quite helpful for you going forward. Finally, if we scroll down to the bottom, what you'll find is there's a great resource here for teaching with Zoom, with links to the answers of many of your questions. And here's one for teaching with Moodle, with links to many of your questions. So a lot of the questions that you ask, there is already answers to it that exist, and we've collated those resources and brought them together for you on this website. So hopefully you'll become familiar with it if you aren't already, and be able to, it'll be helpful to you this fall. Certainly that's our hope in creating it, that will be very helpful for you. So let's go to Moodle and let's sign in and let's get started. So I'm going to log into Moodle. And once I get started in Moodle, you'll see my dashboard. Again, this is a dashboard. If you're new to Moodle, when you log in, you get a dashboard. The dashboard gives you overview of your courses, but only based on the category that you've chosen. So right now I have my starred courses here. I'm going to change that, and I'm going to actually go and look at the courses that are currently in progress. So usually when you log in, you'll see your courses that are currently in progress. So for me, these are the courses that I'm currently either teaching, okay, or maybe that I'm registered in, okay, I'm taking these different ones right now. This is the LAPS template that you can download from the Going Digital website, which I recommend. It can be very helpful in building your course, and there's lots of retreat videos on it you can take a look at if you want. And then here's my playground that I'm going to build in today. I'll show you that in a second. So you should see all your courses that you're currently teaching right here. But however, if you're looking for your courses for the fall, you'll have to click again on the same spot, and you'll have to adjust it, because this actually means the current term we're in, which is summer. So you're going to want to click on future. And when you click on future, your courses for the fall will come up. So if you don't see your courses, that might be why. So these are the courses that I have for the fall that I've been named to. These are the ones that I'm teaching. And then this is just a course that I'm building for the fall. Okay, and I'll show you a little bit of that today, probably as I'm building forums itself. So there you go. That's how you find your courses if you're looking for them. You may see yours not in a picture in a box form, like mine has a picture and then a little bit in some text. You can adjust how you see it right over here. Okay. In the top, in this right-hand section here, I'm looking at it by card. You can check it out if you'd like by list. And it might look like this. So your courses might look like this on your dashboard, or you might see it in a summary form where it looks something like this. And you can adjust how you see them all. I like to look at it by card fashion, but if your screen looks a little different, that might be why. Okay, so if you've come to a couple of my webinars before, you'll know that I usually start by walking you through the dashboard. This is the starting process. So some of you are familiar with it, and that is great. If not, it's okay. I mean, this is how we all learn. So we can adjust how we see the courses on our dashboard by card, list, or summary, and we can select the courses that we're teaching for the fall by looking at future, the ones we're teaching right now by looking at in progress, or the ones that we've done in the past by looking at all courses, or the ones that have already taken place. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to create a playground to play in or to build in today. Some of you may want a fake course to play in, and you're welcome to do that. We have this option now. Up here in the top left-hand corner, you'll see 3 blue lines. If I click on those 3 blue lines, it's going to give me a drop-down. And that drop down, then the 4th piece down says create playground. I'm going to click on create playground, which is right here. Okay, create playground. I'm going to click on create playground, and that's going to allow me to create a fake course that I can build in. We'll call this fake course for forums, just so I know which one it is that I'm working on. I'm going to spell forums correctly, or at least attempt to. Here we go. I create my playground course by clicking on create playground course. It takes a minute or so. It'll send me an email to tell me that it's done, but it will also show me that it's now completed. So now I can actually just go to this fake course and start there. So I just got an email. My phone just buzzed. So now I know it's official. And if you would like to, again, you can create a fake course, as many of them or as few of them as you like. I'm going to click those 3 blue lines in the top again to make that go away. And now I'll click on the dashboard. So let's go back to my dashboard where we started this whole thing. I'm on my future courses, so my playground won't appear there. So I'm going to go to my in progress. And now when I come down to in progress, what I will see is here is the fake course that we just created. My playground fake course for forums. As you'll see, it's hidden from students. Even if it wasn't hidden from students, there are no students in this course. So I can sort of play around with whatever I want in Moodle in here. And that is what we're going to do now. So let's go there. So I'll click on my playground. You don't have to be in a playground. You can be in your actual course. That's wonderful. You can be in your course for the fall, building as we go. That's a great idea. Or you can have a playground. It takes 1 minute. You could make it right now, and you can build along there as well. So if let's just make sure we have somewhere to play. We do. And now I'm taken to the basic setup or structure of my course. This course is set up by topics. Okay, that's sort of the default in LAPS is topics. You can adjust that if you don't want that. And many of my webinars have shown how to do that before by clicking in the top right corner where there's a blue gear or a blue flower. If you don't see a blue gear or a blue flower because you see a bunch of us and about our faces right now because you're in the middle of the webinar as it's happening, you can just click on those faces with your mouse and drag us and pull us out of the way. And then you'll see in the top right corner a blue gear or a blue flower. And we're going to play it with that button a little bit today because when we click on that blue gear or blue flower, it gives us two important options that we're going to work with. The first is turn editing on, which we're going to do because as you'll see, the screen changes when I click on turn editing on. And now I have all these functions to edit and to add things, add an activity or resource, which is going to be important because that's how we are going to add our forums. So we definitely want our editing on. The second thing, of course, is if you did decide that you wanted to change from topics to a different format, you would click that blue gear and you would click on edit settings and it would take you to the course settings where under there you could change the format so that way it could be organized by week, or you could have collapsed topics, or you could have menu tab, or a whole variety of different ones, grid option, and they're all kind of interesting and do different things. And if you want something different, you can certainly go there. And in several previous retreat videos that you can find on the Going Digital website, I walk you through how to do a bunch of those different types of appearances and the pros and cons of those as well. But I like topics. It's nice and simple and easy. And so let's work there. We have our editing on. Make sure your editing is turned on. And now we're going to begin by sort of building our forums. Whenever we build a forum, actually, on the Moodle page, you'll see it's going to have this icon, these sort of two talking boxes, the green box and the blue box, okay? Whenever we see that icon, we know that we're dealing with a forum. So even when we start our course in its barest form, we know that there's already one forum that's there for us because every course starts with a course announcements forum in its default. So you will always have this in every course you have in Moodle. This is pre-programmed by IT, so you don't have to worry about it. So let's just start there because I'll show you what this one does. This one is for you as the course instructor. And if you click on it, it will take you to the inside of the forum. Okay, so let me just clear that out. And then if you wanted to start your forum, which is a place where we're going to post messages or share messages, we're going to create, it's like a bulletin board, a forum. That's usually how it starts off. We're going to begin by adding a new topic. So that's how we're always going to start our new message, is by adding a new topic. And I'll click on add a new topic, and then it's going to bring me a nice little box where I'm going to get to populate the box with my subject and with my content. Okay, and I'll speak to that in just 1 second. What you'll notice is the toolbar. Okay, if you've taken any retreats with me before, you know I love this toolbar. It makes me very excited when I see it because it means that there's lots of fun things that I can do. Whenever I see this particular toolbar, it's I think it's called the Atto. But if you don't see this toolbar, I'll show you at the end. Someone type that type in the chat box that you can't see it, and then I will show you at the end how to make sure you have this toolbar on your particular in your Moodle. You should. It's the default, but you may not. But what I like about this toolbar is when I see it, it means that I can embed video, I can record video messages for my students. I can record audio messages for my students. I can put pictures in here. I can put YouTube clips in here. I can link to other web pages. I can upload documents, PowerPoint, Microsoft Word, PDF, all of that I can do. And I can even, and then write them a message and then post it to my forum or put it up on my bulletin board so that the students can come and access it whenever they like. Okay. And I'm going to walk you through how to do this stuff today over the course of the next 2 hours while we're working together. But this is a particular type of forum. So let me just go back and show you this one more time. How, no matter what course we're ever in, when we start our course, there's always going to be this course announcements. And what this means is it's one directional, okay? It comes from us as the course director and it goes to the students, okay? And so whatever we post in this course announcements, it will always be here. It'll be archived, so it will always be here. And if you don't move it, it will remain at the top of your page, which is good for students. And this is where you send out the messages to your students. Hey, this week there's a test coming up. Don't forget to, visit the library website and download the style guide. Or here's the link to the movie that we watched in class. Or, whatever. My office hours this week have changed. I'm only available on Tuesday. Whatever it is that you have to tell your students, you can tell them here in a general course announcement. Whatever we post into this course announcement forum automatically gets emailed to every student in the course. So every student registered in the course automatically gets an email, and inside the email will be whatever information we put into that announcement. It will also be archived here for students to come back and see anytime they like, but it's one directional. Students cannot reply to it and students cannot post to it. So this course announcements forum is just really for us as course directors. So we click on it. We click to add a new topic. I always start by saying a welcome to the course, right? And then in here you might say, hi everyone, I'm Dr. Steve, welcome to the course. Of course, put in there whatever name you'd like to be addressed, right? If you want to be your full name, your short name, your first name, your last name, doctor, professor, neither. However you'd like to be addressed, it's good to put there. Welcome to the course. You should give them an exclamation point there, please. Show them a little bit of excitement, or a little bit of encouragement. Maybe you want them to actually come and visit your course. So let's make it inviting from the very beginning. And then you might just say, click here to come to Moodle and log in. I look forward to a great year together. It doesn't have to be much more than that, but you should send out a nice message at the beginning, just welcoming them. When this email goes out to your students in the course forum, it will have a link already into it that will let them view this message in Moodle. So you don't have to attach any link or nothing like that. They can just click on the link that will come with the email that will bring them. And anytime you send out a course announcement, at the bottom of that course announcement, there's always a link that can take them back to Moodle so they can see that message inside the Moodle course. Okay, so just welcome them to the course. And then when you're ready to go, you press post to forum and off it goes. Now, when I post something to the forum, which is my course announcements that I'm sending out to the students. So again, it's an email to every student in my course, registered, always. It takes 15 minutes after I click this button right here, this post forum. It takes 15 minutes before that message gets sent out. And you'll say, what? That's ridiculous. I can tell you right now, you will be so thankful for that, because I can't tell you how many times I've posted something to the forum and I've sent it out, and then I've realized there's like a really bad typo, or I put the wrong link, or it's not the message that I want to send. So you can always come back and edit it within those 15 minutes before it gets sent out to all your students. But let's say, for example, you want to remind your students that there's a test that's starting in 15 minutes or in 1 hour or in 5 minutes on the Moodle site. Or let's say you're about to go online for a live synchronous session. Your message might say, hi, everyone, it's Dr. Steve. I'm about to go online right now. Come to Zoom for our live session. Well, you don't want to wait the 15 minutes. You want it to go out immediately. So if we click on this button right here that says advanced, I can turn off that 15-minute waiting time. So I'm just going to come and I'm going to click on the advanced button and show you what happens. If I click on the advanced button, it's going to open up at the bottom here some options for me. Send forum post, right here's the one I want. Send forum post notifications with no editing time delay. Okay. And if I just check that box and then I hit post to forum, it will go immediately to all my students. So there'll be no wait time. So if I want a message to immediately send out because I want them to get it right now and I don't want them to wait, I just make sure I add that little addition to it. I don't need that right here. So here's, hi everyone, welcome to the course. Click here to come to Moodle login. I look forward to a great year together. Wonderful. Like I said, I could do more, and I'll show you how to, these buttons here, I mean, whenever you see them, you can use them in any way you like. So we can use them in this forum, we can use them in different forums, we can use them when we create assignments, or anywhere we get this toolbar. So if you wanted to, you could add video. If you wanted to, you could add audio. If you wanted to, you could add a picture. If you wanted to, you could upload a document. Maybe you wanted to upload the syllabus. Absolutely. You could just, click on this link button right here, and it would let you upload the syllabus from your computer. And then the syllabus would actually be attached to this email for your students. Go for it. If you wanted to record an audio of you speaking or a video of you speaking, go for it. I mean, you absolutely can do those. And I encourage you to use the forum and to use the course announcements to connect with your students. Okay. So when I'm ready to go, I click post the forum, and then it's going to say, great, your post has been successfully added. You have 15 minutes to edit if you want to make any changes. And now listed in my course announcements is the first discussion that I've just had. Now I know there's a reply button here, but students can't reply, so don't worry about it. But it shows when it was created and when the post went out. So this is great. I like to use this course announcements. Let's go back to my course now. I like to use this course announcements right here every single week with my students. So while you're teaching online, I would encourage you to do the same. I think it's really good practice. You click on, every week I click on course announcements. Every week I click, see our last one is already there for us. Okay. Now I'm going to click on add a new topic, and I'm going to give my students what I call the weekly update. So now I'll click on add a new topic, and I'll put weekly update. And then maybe this weekly update is for week 1, which would be whatever, September 10th, let's say. Okay. And I would say, hi everyone. And then I would just start with the weekly update. You know, I usually begin by telling them I hope they had a good weekend. So, you know, hope you had a nice weekend. And then I often do things like 3 things to think about this week. Right? And then we could do sort of 3 things to think about this week. And what's nice is, again, I have the toolbar, so I can come and I can use numbers, or I can use points for bullets, but now I can just create a list. Okay, so I'll come over, I'll click on the numbers. All right, 3 things to think about this week. 1, don't forget the Jones readings, okay? 2, your forum post and journal are due Thursday by 12 noon. Okay, 3, make sure you email your TA your preference document. I'm just making things up right now. But I mean, the idea here is you come up with a little bit of a list of the things that they need to know for this week, sort of the 3 things to think about this week. Hi, everyone, hope you had a good weekend. Here are 3 things to think about this week. And then you always say, if you have any questions, email me. And then give them your email. Let them know that you're available to them. Because again, we're going to use forums in all ways as a communication tool. It's actually your primary communication tool. If you use it well, I mean, it's going to be a great opportunity for you to connect with your students. Connections are important. Communication is important. It's very difficult in the online learning environment to have the same types of connections and communication you have in the traditional classroom. Forums can be a great way to do this. Make yourself visible and present to your students on a very regular basis. And weekly announcements, weekly updates are a great way to do this. Hope you had a nice weekend. 3 things to think about this week. If you have any questions, email me, and then I'm going to post that to the forum, and out it goes. Okay, and now weekly update September 10th will show there as well. It will also get emailed to all my students. And then the next week, I'm going to log in and I'm going to do the weekly update September 17th, and then the weekly update September 24th. And over the course of the year, all of these will keep showing up here. And so students can come and check those weekly updates all the time. If I finish feedback and grading a quiz, I send out a message in the course announcements. All the tests have been graded. Please have a look at the feedback. If you have any questions, email me, sgennaro@yourq.ca. If the test is tomorrow, I usually send an email out or a course announcement the night before and say, just a reminder, your test is tomorrow. You know, get some sleep tonight. Sleep is important. And, you know, we'll see you tomorrow. Good luck. You know, don't stress the little things. You've worked hard in the course up until this point. You'll be ready to go. I mean, like, it's okay to be part life coach. Okay. It's okay to give some positive reinforcement to your students. You know, don't bombard them with 6,000 course announcements, because then they just won't read them. But, you know, use them as a tool, and again, as a lifeline to create communication with your students. So there's our course announcements section. That's sort of how it works. It's one directional, but you can use it weekly to check in. And like I said, if I wanted to, in this weekly update, I could have added a link. I could have added the links to the readings. I could have added a picture, a video, audio, whatever else I wanted to, if I wanted to make it more personalized. You know, all those options are certainly available to us. So that's our first forum tool that you need to know about. And now you know how to use your course announcements, which is great, because it is the primary forum for every course. Okay. But now what we're going to do is we're going to build some forums to go along with it. So usually near the top of my course, I have my course announcements. What I've also find is helpful is if I create another forum in this top section, and that forum I make sort of an FAQ section, right? A spot where students can come in and students can post their questions, general questions that have to deal with the entire course itself. Okay, so let's build one of those, and we'll keep it up again in this top section. It's a spot for students where they can post their questions about what they're thinking about in the course. So I come here, I click on add an activity or resource, right? If I don't see add an activity or resource, I need to come up to the top right corner and turn my editing on. Where that blue gear is, I need to turn my editing on. And again, if you don't see that, because my picture's in the way or other people's pictures are in the way, just grab us with your mouse and drag us all the way out. And then you'll see that space again. Okay, so I have my editing turned on. Again, the blue gear, turn editing on. Then I come to click add an activity or resource. And it's going to show me my options of what I want to add. Now, a form is an activity. So that's where we're going to begin. We're going to here's our activities list. Here's our forum. And we're just going to check it. And then we're going to click add. And it's going to start the process of letting us pick the different things we want to do with our forum or how we want to set it up. So let's do that. Let's add our forum. I click forum. I click add. And now I have my basic space to put into place what it is that I'm looking for. So what's the name of this forum going to be? Well, this one's going to be student FAQs, like I said. But you know, and then what I like is it's going to give me the option for a description. So here I'm going to talk about what this is. Whatever we put into this description box, as long as I click display description on course page, I check this box here, display description, then students will see this description on the front page. So that's kind of nice. It's going to give, again, a little bit of direction. I wouldn't put too much here because I have my favorite toolbar. So what that means, again, is if I wanted to, I could attach documents, I could put photos, I could put a YouTube video, I could record audio, I could record video. All those options are right there if I wanted to, but I'm not going to use any of those. I'm just going to keep it real simple, and I'm going to say, please post your questions about the course here. And then I will always say, if you know the answer to another question, please respond. And I always say, I usually come in here once a week or every 10 days to answer any unanswered questions. So I want I'm sorry, I'm typing. I've sliced my finger open if you can't see. So my typing is more poor than even usual. It's all bandaged up. But if you've taken any webinars with me, you know that I am not the best at typing, but thank goodness for autocorrect. Okay, so please post your questions about the course here. If you know the answers to another question, please respond. So I want to facilitate students helping other students. I want them to come and check it regularly because there might be information that they might have that they can share, or questions that they have that someone else has answered for them. In the past, I used to put something like, please visit this space before sending an email to me, you know, because I was like, well, why would I answer the email if it's already in the forum? But I've since moved past that. I mean, if you've been to any of my retreats, you know that my email policy is I respond to every single email, every single one. And it's a bit excessive, I admit it, but what I found is it does a really great job in terms of building connection with my students. And it really helps in terms of the student engagement in my courses because they know that they're always getting a response from me. And so I no longer put statements like, please don't email me until you've read the syllabus, or please don't email me until you've read the forum. But I mean, you're welcome to put that. There's nothing wrong with that. I've just chosen a different route, a more compassionate route for building connections with my students online. And I found that when I changed that in my own email policy, I've been teaching online now for well over a decade, and so entirely online. So I found that when I changed my policy towards that, that my student engagement went up, and that their participation in the course also went up. So connections are important. So that's why I don't put that line here, but you're welcome to. There's nothing wrong with it, okay? I'm not saying that there's something wrong with that. But then I let them know that I'm not in here every day, but that I will come in once in a while and kind of clean it out. And I do that. So whatever you say you're going to do that. Maybe you'll come every 5 days, every 7 days, every 10 days. don't be too long, but you want to be present. So we know that when instructors are present in forums, students are more likely to participate. Okay, so we don't want to be completely absent. We don't want to be the ghost in the machine, but we don't want to be, complete surveillance over everything that they do. But we want to let them know that we're there and we're available to help. So I let the students post the questions. I let the students answer their own questions. But usually on Friday morning, I'll have my cup of coffee. I'll drop in. I'll go through here. Anything that's not answered, I'll answer. Okay, and then so it becomes like a nice resource for the entire course for all of us to work on. So I put a description in the box. So now I'm going to just click on to add this description because I want my students to see it so they know what it is. And I'm just going to use the standard form for general use. So what we'll notice is that if I click on this drop-down box, I have a couple different options. I normally work in the standard form for general use. If I'm creating a form for an assignment, so let's say I want each student to post one thing, like an introduction video, and I'll show you that in a little bit. I would have each person post one discussion, which is a different option. And that it means exactly what it says, that each person can only start one discussion, okay? But you might have a question and answer form, which you want to use. So this might be more for like your weekly discussion. Let's say you have a weekly question that you want to put up and you want each student to respond to it. You would maybe use the Q&A forum. Then in the first post, you would post the question and then people would reply to it. And only after they post their replies can they then see the replies of others. Right? That's at least the basic setup in most Moodle. I'm not sure if that's how it is in Labs because I don't use this forum, but that's the basic structure and setup for the Q&A forum at the Moodle site level. So that should work like that. And then in terms of a standard one, you might have it just the general use, which is I like, or you might want it in a blog format instead of in a cached format where it shows each message underneath each message as it's being responded to. And we'll look at each of these a little bit. And then each person posts one. That's right. Each person can only start one. Okay. But I'm going to use a standard form for general use for this one here. Availability. If you wanted to, you could limit when it's open and when it's closed by clicking enable and then adjusting the date to when you wanted the form to be. If you had a posting that was due, let's say you wanted everyone to post by Friday, I could adjust this date so they must post by Friday. In doing so, if they post after Friday, the forum will tell me that it was posted late. Okay, so maybe if I'm grading their forum posts, that might be something to think about. And then the cutoff date is just, it tells you at what point students are no longer allowed to post into that forum. So if you did a weekly assignment, you might allow them to submit, let's say it's due Friday at 4 o'clock. You might allow them to submit it anytime over the weekend, but once we get to Monday, you want that closed. So that way there's no more submissions to it. So then you might set up here by clicking enable, making the deadline Friday, and then clicking enable and making the cutoff date Monday. That way they still could have the weekend to post, but it would be late, but they could still post. So these are just options for you if you want to. Because this is a student FAQ, I'm just going to leave it open all the time. Students can post whenever they want, however they want, as many times as they would like. And then some of the other things that we get to look at here, attachment and word count. So do you want to let your students attach documents to this forum? Again, it depends on what you're doing. If you're using the forum for assignment submission or for sharing resources within a small group, maybe you have, an activity that requires people to put things together. I've used forums before where I have students work in teams or in groups, and then and they work within a forum, and then at the end of their group work where they're sharing comments going back and forth in the forum, one person uploads a completed PowerPoint slide that they built together, or one person uploads a Microsoft Word document that they worked on together through the forum, sharing their ideas back and forth. If that was the case, you would want to make sure that the attachment size is large enough to accommodate the type of document you want them to be uploading. Okay, so the easiest way to do that is to simply come over to here and to adjust it so that you put it to its maximum size, which is 100 megabytes. Okay, that means the student can certainly upload anything, PowerPoint, Word, PDF, even some images you'll be fine with. But you will not be able doing this to upload any type of video file. Okay, so just be aware of that. If you want your students to upload a video file into a forum, you will need them to record their video, upload it to a third party. My students use YouTube, but maybe you use Vimeo or maybe Google Drive or Microsoft 365 OneDrive, and then paste the link to that video in the forum. Okay, for those of you who want to use video in forum for video chat amongst your students, if the video is going to be longer than 2 minutes, okay, I'll show you how to do it for less than 2 minutes, but if it's longer than 2 minutes, they will have to post that video on a third-party site and then paste the link, because you cannot upload to a forum a file that's larger than that, okay? And then you can limit how many attachments you want them to be able to put, and even a displayed word count. If, for example, you wanted each person to write a 500-word response or a 250-word response, you could turn that on. If you wanted no attachments, you could just turn attachments directly off, turn to 0, and then there would be no attachments, and then they could simply just work but without attaching. Other options we have here, and again, this is for every forum we ever build. We're building our student FAQ forum, but for every forum we ever build, the features or the options will be the same. So I'm kind of walking you through those. Just a moment ago, I said if you wanted your video to be less than 2 minutes, students could do that in the forum itself. And the way that they would do it would be by clicking this button right here. Okay, remember we had this is where our description was. And then there'll be a box where we put our description. When the students are in the forum, I'll show you this in a second, and they're responding in the forum, when they click reply in the forum, this same box will show up, which means we'll have this same toolbar, which means this video option will be there. So if students just click on that video option, I'll show you that again, this video option right here. If students just click on that video option, a button will show up that will allow them to record a message. It looks like this. And then they just click start recording, and it will record from their webcam, and then they can record their message, but they can only record up to 2 minutes. And when they're done, it will actually put that video directly inside the forum box, inside this box right here. Okay, so I'll scroll back down again. Where was I? So we did availability, some of the ways you might use it or might think about it. We did attachments and word count, some of the ways you might think about it or use it. Subscription and tracking. Okay. So your course announcements that we already looked at, that's a forced subscription, okay? Students have no choice, okay? They will get an email every single time you send something from course announcements. But for all other forums, it begins as optional, okay? Optional subscription. That I think is the best way to do it. What this means is that students can turn off the subscription if they don't want to get those emails. They can monitor it. So that way they don't have to get an email every time something is posted to the forum. But maybe they want to. Maybe they want to be continually notified because that helps them stay connected to the course. So optional is usually the best. But if you don't, let's say you have a forum that everyone's going to be posting in and it's going to be really busy, maybe you want to just turn it completely off, and you have that option as well. Okay. But maybe for student FAQs, because it's a student section where students are asking questions and responding to each other, and it's course specific and it matters to every student. Like I've always felt that if one student asks a question, there's at least 3 other students who thought about it but didn't ask the question, right? So I have no empirical evidence to support that, but I would say that there's probably some truth to it. And I can't tell you how many times I've sat in a classroom as a student and someone's asked a question, I've thought, yes, I have that question. Thank you for asking it. So because it's the student FAQ, you may decide to leave the forced subscription on. It's an option. And then read tracking, I mean, that's really up to you if you want it on or off. What does that mean? It enables participants to easily check which posts they have seen by highlighting any new posts. Okay, so that can be helpful as well too. I leave it on, but you know, some people will like to have it off. Again, it's really up to you. If it's optional, that means the student has the ability themselves to go in and turn it off. Like if they don't like it's like a notification on your phone. You know, when you pick up your phone and you see like the icon for your email and then it says, you know, 73 beside it, it means you have 73 emails waiting for you. I'm a person who, if I even just see one on that, I get anxiety. So it always has to be at 0. And so some students are like that as well. So they might themselves want to turn it off because they might not want to know that they have 63 unread forum messages. It might give them anxiety. Okay, but they can turn that off. The other things we want to think about here is, I mean, we don't really need to work about locking discussions. Although if you used forum like let's say a blog, or you use forum where, let's say you had a spot where you set up a standard forum and students could come in and they could post questions about the first test, or they could post questions about the first essay. You could always set up a spot where you lock it if no one's posted anything in a certain amount of time. So this just means if a week goes by and no one posts, that form will get closed. It'll get shut down. It'll get locked. They'll still be able to see it, but they won't be able to add anything to it. And sometimes we see this in discussion boards. If you ever go online and you're trying to figure out how to fix your computer or how to fix your furnace, and then you're Googling that, and you'll see someone will post a question, how do the pilot light went out of my furnace, what do I do to turn it back on? And then there'll be a bunch of people who will reply, and then at the bottom it will say, this forum is closed. It's been inactive for 181 days. If you go on TripAdvisor, this type of thing happens as well. So this just lets you lock it after a certain period when no one's been using it. Okay, grade is an interesting thing. And I'm going to save this one, I think, actually for next week, for the work that I'm doing next week. Because a forum is an activity, you remember at the beginning I said, we clicked on that button, add an activity or resource, and I said a forum's an activity. So because it's an activity, it means that it automatically creates a category in our grade book, okay, on Moodle. And so then it means we have the ability to assign grade to any of the forums our students are working in. Next week, I'm going to do a little bit on gradebook. And so I think I'll talk a little bit more about it then. Next week, Moodle 3.9 should be available to LAPS faculty, in which case I'll be able to even show you the options for grading forums live in real time. And so that might also be something of value to us. But when it says uncategorized here, all this means is that I haven't set up my Moodle gradebook. In my Moodle gradebook, I have the ability to set up categories. And if I have no categories set up, it just means that this, if I do decide to use it for grade, I don't have to, okay? It won't affect my gradebook if I do nothing. But if I do decide to use it for grade, it will just go into the main gradebook because I have no categories assigned in my gradebook. But maybe as I build my gradebook, I might make a category for forums, and I might make a category for essays, and I might make a category for exams. And then every time I create an essay assignment, I would change this to from uncategorized to essays. And then it would automatically put it into that particular section in my gradebook. But if I don't have a gradebook that has any categories in it, it doesn't really matter. Okay, so that's more for maybe for advanced builders, but I just want you to know what it is because it's there. And when you see it, I don't want you to panic. I want you to just know that it's not to worry. Uncategorized is perfectly fine and very normal. Okay. Ratings, I'm not going to work with in here. You probably won't need to work with it. Common settings. So this is a one that we're going to deal with in the next hour. So in the second hour, I'm going to show you what happens when we start making forums that happen in group mode. But for now, this is the student FAQ section. It requires no groups, okay? Because it's just, I want everybody in the course to be able to see it. But if I turned the groups on here, what it would mean is when people come to the forum, okay, when they post to the forum, their posting would get put into their particular group. And so only the members in their particular group would be able to view what they had posted. So it's really like a filtration system that takes our I make one forum, the forum is for the whole class, but when we go into that forum, it subdivides people's posts immediately into the different groups that they're in. Okay, so if I'm working with groups, this is where I make that adjustment. And I want it shown on the page, that's fine. I'm working with groups, this is where I make that particular adjustment. That is great, and that is awesome. If I'm not working with groups, if I want everyone in the course to be able to see every posting, I have to make sure that no groups is on, okay? If I want it to be subdivided, so group A works together, or tutorial 1 has like their own part of this forum, and tutorial 2 has their own one, and tutorial 3 has their own one, then I'm going to make sure I turn my groups on, okay? And then lastly, in this spot, which may help us, is restrict access. So here, for example, if I wanted this, I could add a restriction here, and by adding this restriction, I could adjust who has access to even seeing this forum, let alone posting in it and working within it. And so there's a couple options here. One is if we wanted to, we could create a forum specifically for tutorial 1, specifically for tutorial 2, and so forth. And in doing so, only that tutorial would even be able to access it. So no one else could even get to it. And maybe that's what if we have a big course, we might want to do that. I'll talk about that the next hour. But this is also where we could add a restriction, for example, that is based on the type of role that we have in the course. And in doing so, we could create a little chat room for our teaching team. Okay. And so if we want the restrictions that we can add, we can make students only be able to access this forum starting at a certain date. So we can have it closed until a certain date. We can have them only be allowed to do it if they've achieved a certain grade in a particular assignment. Or here's what we're going to look at here. We're going to look at user profile or a restriction set. So these are some other options that we can do. So let's click on user profile. And when I do that, so user profile, choose, okay, I get to pick what I want from here. So I can have just their email address, okay, or I could have their, you know, if there are other people here, other pieces here that I want to draw on, but usually email address works pretty well. And I want equal to, and then I would put yes, Gennaro at yorku.ca. Perfect. And I'm going to add another restriction, okay, user profile. And I'm going to add, again, email address. And then so let's pretend that this is my first TA. And then the second TA is, you know, I put their email address in here, okay? And then I take my third TA, I add a user profile, same thing, email address, and I put their email address here. And all of a sudden now what I've done is I've actually just created, I've created a forum that only these people can see, okay? Only they can see. I changed it to any, okay? And now all of my TAs or will be able, all of these TAs will be able to get into this particular forum, and just them and nobody else. So if I wanted to create a little forum and I wanted to be just a discussion space for me and my teaching team, this is where I could do it. Students would not be able to enter. Only the people who match the following would be able to enter. Okay. Okay. Let me scroll on down. I'm going to actually remove these restrictions because I don't want them in there. And I'm going to click save and return to course. What did we even do here? Oh, that's right. We were building our student FAQs. So now at the top of my page, early on in my course, I have my course announcement and I have my student FAQs. Here we said, post your questions. If you know the answer, respond. I usually come in here once a week or every 10 days to answer any unanswered questions. Perfect. There's that display that the students can see nicely on the front of the page. If I click on it, it now gives me the opportunity to add a new discussion topic. Okay, because we picked the standard forum for general use, anybody can add a new discussion topic, and as many as they like. If we chose the every student can only post once, then once a student had posted their first discussion topic, maybe in week 1 they had a question about the syllabus, they actually couldn't post another one for the remainder of the year in this forum. So that's the reason why you maybe don't want to do that for a student FAQ. But if the assignment or the task was introduce yourself to the course, well then sure, every student posts once. That makes perfect sense, right? That's a great way to keep it nice and organized. And then of course, when we click add a new discussion or topic, it's exactly the same as before. So the student comes in, maybe they have a question and their question is about, you know, link is broken. Link is broken. And then they might say, Professor, the link for week 1 reading doesn't work. Professor, the link for week 1 reading doesn't work. That's what they type in the box and they post that to the forum. I'm pretending I'm a student right now. And now anyone in the discussion forum will see the link is broken. Okay. Hopefully another student answers that, but maybe they don't. If not, what happens is I come in and I say, oh, no one's answered this particular one. That's okay. I'm going to come over here and I'm going to reply. So in the bottom right, there's the option to reply. I'm going to click on reply, and that's going to let me now respond to this particular forum. So let's do it. I click on reply, and now there's a little box for me to type a reply. Thanks for letting me know. Thanks for letting me know. That's what I just typed in there. Try this link instead. Try this link instead. I get it that I'm responding to myself because I'm pretending to be both the student and professor. And I say, well, wait a second, Steve, this isn't very good. I don't see that toolbar. Why don't I see that toolbar that's supposed to be here that's going to allow me to then type or audio or video, or, you know, you said the students could reply by video, but how do they do that? Or what, how do I even put that link in if there's no toolbar there? How am I supposed to do that? So if I come down into the bottom right, there's the button that says advanced. So after I've clicked on reply and it opens up this box here for me right here. Okay, this box is opened up for me to type into. I need to also then click on advanced right here in the bottom right. So that way I can get my toolbar on. Okay, so let me show you that. I click on advanced. And now what happens is I get to respond to it, but I get to respond to it with my box and my toolbar that lets me then create my adjustments. And now if I wanted to, I'm going to give them the link. So I'm going to say, try this link instead. And now I'm going to actually paste the link here for them. So let's do that. So I would click on the link button, and now it asks me just to paste the link in. So let's say I'm going to actually, give me a second. I'm going to grab a link. I know this isn't the link, but let's just grab one. Okay. And I paste the link into the box, and I click create link. Oh, and there's my link, but I got it not in a spot that I like. I'm just going to just move that around. Thanks for letting me know. Try this link instead. Now I've made an error, as you can see, because all the text is red. Whatever text is red is where the link actually is, and I kind of don't want that. So I'm going to take the link off of this part here. I'm going to highlight the part that I don't want the link to be on. And then right beside that chain link button is a breaking the link button. I click on the unlink button, I break the link, and now it's gone back to the regular black text. So now I know that there's no link here, but this is red, so I know that the link is live here, so that's perfect. So thanks for letting me know. Try this link instead, and here's the link. But you know what? I can see I don't want the link on this text either, so I'm just going to highlight it, click the break link again, and now I know that it's gone as well. So I can add the link, I can take the link away just by pressing that. And then if I wanted to, again, I could send this out immediately, right? That button is there for me, send forum post notifications with no editing time delay. If I check that box, it's going to go immediately. If I don't check it, I know I have 15 minutes before it goes out. Okay, we talked about that already. And then the other option, of course, is if maybe a student posts a question and maybe I decide, you know what, I want to reply to it, but I don't want everybody to see that reply. Maybe it requires something that maybe we don't want to discuss about in the full forum. Oh, I didn't mean to bump it off like that. Sorry. I might check this box right here, reply privately. And that way my reply will still be posted, but only the student who started it or who I'm replying to will see that reply. So it's not visible to everybody. So that's another option for us there as well. When I'm ready to go, I click post to forum, and I've been told that I have 15 minutes, which is great. So I know I have 15 minutes. Here's me pretending to be the student, posting the link is broken. Here's me as the professor responding and actually linking for them because I clicked reply and then I clicked advanced. I was able to add the link to the reading for them. And as we're following along, what we'll know is whoever starts the discussion is right here, and then all replies will always be indented. And so if someone replied to me next, instead of replying to the original student post, it would be indented again. And if they replied to the original post, it would come down here and then be indented at the same line. So the standard form for general use, it's okay. I mean, it gives us sort of clear ideas of sort of where the post starts and who's replying to which things by giving us indentation along the way for us to see, but it also collates and categorizes and keeps everything together for us in what can be a helpful way. So if I scroll back up and I go back to my playground now, I think what we've done is already in the first little hour is I've shown you the course announcements, which is the one that we're all going to use all the time. It's part of our sort of regular component of every course. It's one directional. So from professor just to student, only you as the course director or only a person who has instructor privileges on your course can send out a course announcement. So your non-editing instructor, your TAs, if they're in their regular role, which is non-editing instructor, unless you change that role, they cannot work there. So it's just you as the course director that works in that course announcement. It goes to every student in the course and they get emailed whatever you send out. I'm encouraging you to use it at the start of the course to welcome the students, to use it to direct students to important course information. Okay, so if something is of importance, but also to use it to check in regularly with your students. My students know that Tuesdays at 12 noon every week, they get a course update from me. So I would tell my students at the beginning that that's my update time. My students know this. Every Tuesday, 12 noon is when I update. Work is always due Tuesdays at 12 noon. Last week's work is due at Tuesday at 12 noon. This week's work gets handed out Tuesday at 12 noon. I always update Moodle Tuesdays at 12 noon. So my students know that that's the time when things change on Moodle. So they'll know they'll get the email from me. They know they'll get the announcement. They always know when their assignments are due. I mean, and there's just a consistency to that. And I think that's valuable when you're building communication with your students. And then also they'll start to look for it as well. If they want it, they'll start to look for it. And that can also be helpful. Again, we're going to use course announcements to build a little bit of community. Student FAQs is another helpful tool to have. It allows us to give our students a place to post their questions, a place to converse with each other. We created a standard form here, but I showed you some of the other options that were there, and we set it up with the description, and I showed you a little bit of all the different buttons you could click to add restrictions if you wanted to, or to allow attachments or deny attachments, or how, where students would have to go to upload a video if that didn't work, and what about adding links and replying. And so we did a whole bunch of stuff around forms in the basic structure of how they work, and even a little small tiny description about why we don't worry so much about the grade and the uncategorized part when we create a form on Moodle. So that's, I think, like a basic introduction to forms on Moodle. So that's the first hour. I'm going to stop right here, take a break. So this will be the first video if you're coming to watch it on the Going Digital website. And in about 3 or 4 minutes, we'll start back up and we'll do the second hour. And then I'm going to look a little bit about sort of setting up groups and then using groups and forums together. And I think that's probably what we'll look at for most of the next hour. Okay, so I'm just going to stop right here, stop my share. Maybe before I break, let me just see if there are questions here, if I can. Will all the students see each other's entries? What if you want to define groups for the forum so one group sees only its members' entries? Okay, good question. I'll talk about that in the next hour. If it's a general forum, everyone sees everyone's entries unless the person replies privately, okay? Because it's a course-wide forum. Once we set up groups and we turn the group function on, so right now we have the no groups function on. Once we turn the group function on in the forum itself, then students will be only able to see what their individual group members have posted, okay? What is the best forum type for weekly forums being used as graded assignments? It's a good question. It depends on the type of assignments, I guess, right? So if the assignment is each student submits one thing, like just one post and nothing else, then each student posts one is the best forum, right? Because it will, when they post and when it comes in, when you go to look at it as an instructor, it will be very clear. All the students will all be there. They'll each have their own individual post, and it will tell you the date and the time that it was submitted, right? So then you just click on one at a time and you go through one at a time. And then Moodle 3.9 has a grading feature built into it where you can actually just grade as you're reading the forum post, which is kind of cool. And so that would be the easiest. If you want your students to communicate with each other, now it becomes a little bit more difficult. Now you have to decide, okay, well, how do you want the information categorized? I still like to use each student posts one post, because then each student will start one discussion thread all the way down, and then students can reply to other students' discussion threads along the way. And so I can still see each student. I can still see when each student posted, but then I can also see in the reply category how many replies they got, and I can click on each one and I can read each individual reply as well. So that's one possibility. The other possibility might be you decide to do a question and answer format. So you post the question, or student A posts the question, and then all the other students in that group or in your class respond to that question. And as I said, the nice thing about that is you shouldn't be able to read the replies of others until you've replied yourself. So maybe you want the question and answer format. And then of course you can never really go wrong with the standard. If you just leave everything at standard, you're usually fine. You don't get all the bells and whistles. It doesn't maybe do all the features you want it to, but it's pretty hard to mess it up if you just keep it with the standard form, okay? Can we use the forum participation for questions that for each class that I like to post? Yeah, absolutely, and definitely. And I'm gonna talk about that in the next hour, and I would recommend you do that. Where do we change the course to organize it by week instead of topic, or just name the topics as weeks? Okay, so that we cover in a whole variety of other webinars. But again, just real quick, top right corner, you click on here, and then when you click on there, you're going to edit the settings of the course, not turn anything on, but edit the settings. And you're going to scroll down. I think it's appearance that you click on, or it might be format. I can't remember which one, but there'll be a drop-down box where you can change it to weekly from topics. But you can also just click on this pen that's right beside the topic title, and you can change the topic name to whatever you want the topic name to be at any point in time. So, for example, if you just click on the pen and you change it to week 1 and you click enter, now it says week 1. You got to press enter, it doesn't work, but that's how that works there. How is the students can participate in FAQ but not in course announcements? How is that access modified? You cannot access you cannot modify the access for course announcements. Okay, it's standardized and set so that only instructors can send in one direction. If you want students to be able to speak back to your course announcements, then after you've posted your course announcement, just copy it, go into the FAQ section, and then start a new message in your FAQ section for them, and then paste it into there and then send it out there as well. So now it'll be both in your course announcements and it will be in the FAQs, and then students can respond to it in the FAQ. I mean, it takes 2 postings instead of 1, but that's sort of the way it goes. All the other forms are accessible to students. Okay, the only form that students can, all the forms are accessible to students to read. The only form that students cannot write in is the course announcements. That's reserved specifically for course directors because it forcibly emails those announcements directly to all students, and it just creates sort of a priority chain, a direct chain of communication for you as course director directly to all of your students without anything else in the way. Okay, and that we want that ability because we don't have the microphone and the podium in the lecture hall to make those broad announcements at the start of lecture or at the end of lecture like we normally would in a regular class. So that's really what this is supposed to replicate. Okay, quick couple-minute break to stretch, to have a quick drink and so forth, and then we'll come back and we'll work on some more using forms like tutorials kind of idea. Thanks.